Well, hello everybody, Peter here down in the old man shed. Not so much been running trains today, but I've been adding even more detail, city stuff to the layout, and I wonder if you can sort of see. Maybe it stands out from you on the old bridge there. Yeah, so spent all day Sunday doing this. I guess it just adds to the layout. No parking and things like that. Go across slow before you go across the TMD yard, and there's obviously the alternative is there on the other side. Done the markings for the cars, where the cars to park now, so they've got their spaces, and also over there in front of the goods yard they've got their spaces, and there's a yellow line there now against that fence, and obviously that area's got to be kept clear, so no parking will be long run there. Now right, this is for a guy down the old at my model railway club, Ollie. He wanted to see how the sidings were. I'm hoping this is good enough for you, Ollie. Just 3 lines down there, and then all obviously covered over with the grass, but so the track is clear. I ballasted it first. If you look back on the old videos that I've done, you would see that I ballasted everything first of all and then put the greenery afterwards. So yeah, that's how that one goes. I'm hoping that's what you wanted to see. That one there is a dummy 68. It's on wheels. It's got a flashing light and the train lamp flashing away. But yeah, so there you go, Ollie. So it's all just filled with all the sort of scattering stuff on top of the ballast, and then some shrubbery. A lot of because I had to take the buffers off the track to give me as much length as possible. There's a lot of greenery at the very end of the buffers, so you can't see that it's on. That it's not got no track underneath it. All right. So yeah, hopefully that's what you wanted to see, Ollie. There's 3 lines, and whereas in the past I used to have every single loco on the layout, I've now elected not to do that now because it doesn't look so busy. It looks very busy and cramped, so just having the odd tanker, the odd couple of locos. Got the locos in front on this siding, obviously. Having a freight liner day today, they're running well. And round over there in that engine shed there's 2 EWS 66s, which again is part of the DB Schenker group now, isn't it? So it's all DB Schenker. But yeah, that's what I've been doing. Great fun. Spent all day doing it. But I thought, well, it needed something on this bridge for the cars to come down. So there we are. No parking there because that's all got to be kept clear, and yeah, just it. So there we are. Well, hopefully that's alright. I don't think I've done anything else. No, that's been most of the day been sort of doing that, because the way that it's good old scale model scenery. They're sticky back vinyl. Right, there you are. So this is how I cut it off the A4 sheets that's supplied by Scale Model Scenery. Peeled it off its backing so that the actual internal letters stayed put on the backing, and then I actually stuck this down as if I was laying that one down. I actually stuck that down to the bench, yeah, in the position I wanted, and then got the letters, started taking the letters off the backing, and then obviously filling them in then you get the right spacing. Then it's absolutely, so it works out to be absolutely perfect, I hope. So that's it. So it's a vinyl, it's sticky. Then of course, as you can see, it's very bright yellow, but that's not bright yellow, no, because it's been weathered down, same as all that lot. Yeah, so I did all the weathering down because otherwise it was very, very bright in your face. And I thought, well, no, it's a TMD yard. I'm not exactly going to be fussed too much about going around painting the markings everywhere. They've got other things to do. So It's well used, well worn, but I think it gives the old effect. Quite happy with that. That fence was needed something or other, you know, why such a vast expanse of tarmac and nothing along it, but of course it's the road that leads to that little office over there, so it needs to be kept cleared. Narrows down tremendously for the level crossing, but opens up for everything else. Yeah. All right. Right. Okay. This little bit is for Paul of Dungewood. Excuse me. So there you go, Paul. So all my tankers that I did buy the Hunt couplings for, but I found wasn't very good because these little things they're so light that, as I said, it was getting jerked back onto the straights because the magnet was more powerful than the weight of the tanker. So I knew I had some Bachmann couplings, which were these ones that I bought a long time ago, and I hadn't realised that this is the old horrible large D coupling with the rivet. Yeah, this come off the tanker there. That's what was on the tanker. So it's, you know, it's one of these. It's one of these anyway. But that had the horrible D coupling on it. So when you see what the D coupling is fitted to, you've got a peg either side of the rivet which holds the coupling in place. Once you get the rivet off, obviously the D coupling just comes away, but then that's where the little holes in these fellas comes in handy. Now it should be really for screws, but of course with a rivet you haven't got a screw, so what I elected to do was literally I just snipped off the rivet, but it leaves you with the two pegs either side. Now it just so happens that this coupling with the two pegs, with the two holes, fit nicely onto those two pegs. Doesn't matter about the central thing, you know, the central rivet, because this is what you end up with. It's back on place, you see. So she's on the peg either side. Yes, there's nothing in the middle, but it doesn't need it. And they go round, Paul, my second radius curves absolutely brilliantly. As you can see, they're all fitted with them now. And the ones I've bought, Paul, there's two types that Bachmann sell. There's two types. There's the long one, and then there's the short. Now I ended up getting one of each because I didn't know what one I was going to get, and it ended up I've used the shorts. And I say so. If it's any help to you, as I said to you, my layout is second and third radius curves and Hornby set track, so it does nothing except goes round the curves and then comes straight onto the straight. So not you know, obviously you guys that lay your track with Pico Flexi track and you got your maybe long radius curves and things like that, you can do obviously a lot smoother transition, but this is literally toy train stuff. Hornby set track, the points are what they are, they're standard points, and I believe that the turnout is equivalent to a second radius turnout, so that's it. So yeah, second radius. And as you see going around here, I've got my close coupled ballast wagons, and I've got me close coupled Hornby network rail wagons, and they look, you can see the gap is fantastic, and yet when it goes round the second radius, brilliant. These are all Hunt couplings on here, everything. The Locos fitted with them, ballast wagons all fitted with them, and it absolutely works brilliant. The tankers is the only ones I've ever had problems, and it wasn't so much the couplings, it's the fact that the wagons are so light. I did add extra weight to the wagons and it cured it, but I still wasn't happy about the fact well, maybe I'll end up with the axles wearing, because it's only the metal axles are only spinning in plastic, let's face it. So that's what I elected to do. Yeah, I've just spent all day in it today. Oh my gosh. But what I'll do is I'll stop these two, and I'll just put the wagons on the track for you, Paul, and I'll put it on the second radius, and I'll show you the clearance of the buffers using those couplings. So I'll get that sorted now. Right. So there you are, Paul. That's what I used. The mini loop screw-on coupling short. They do two types, and the other one, same thing, type long. Alright, so they're the same sort of couplings, but one is shorter. So that's the actual product code if you needed to know. I think it's about £10 for the packet, I think. So yeah, so if you've got a lot to change, yeah, it could be expensive, but it looks a lot better, to be honest, doesn't it? The wagons look like the Bachmann wagons as opposed with that horrible decoupling. Right, let's have a look at the wagons on the layout. Right, so here you go then, Paul. So now they're all fitted with the small couplings. That's the gap you get, and you can see there's not a lot of movement between the wagon when it's pushing and pulling. Unlike the horrible, the decoupling of the Hornby, it moves a mile, doesn't it? So there we all are, and then as it goes round the radius, let's take you right onto the curve and shine it right down. There you are, mate. See, there's a nice gap. Hold on, there we are. So there's still a gap, it's not touching. Alright, so I'm moving and pushing. They don't meet at all, so there's no buffer lock. Okay, there you are, there's a better one there. So if you push, that's as close as it gets. When you pull, it opens up to that. So not too bad at all. It's miles better than the Hornby decoupling one, to be honest. So I'm very pleased I've gone for this. I'll just get these loaded up onto a 37, which is fitted with the same coupling at the back, and she already is. Yeah, she's all ready to go, and I'll just get her going round. Hold on. So that's the second radius curve, Paul. Going over points. If it's pulling, fantastic. Now, I'll be truthful with you. I have tried pushing, and what happens goes all the way around the layout to the back there. Sod's law, just as it went into the tunnel, the first wagon derailed as it hit the curve underneath in the tunnel. So you can imagine I had great fun having to retrieve that. So with your helix curves, I'm hoping you're pulling more than pushing, and I think you'll get away with that. But they certainly look a lot better than that ugly decoupling. As I say, they look like the Bachmann equivalent now, but of course half the price or a third of the price of Bachmann's. Now, very happy with them now, actually. So it's a shame I couldn't use the Hunt couplings. I love them to pieces, but it's not gone. It's not a step backwards. It's actually still got a better result with the Bachmann couplings. Of course, those two little pegs either side of where the rivet would be, they're still there. Interestingly enough, there's two types of wagons on here. The ones with the red frame, the pegs on that were longer than the ones which are all grey. So I ended up, although the peg was there which I could put the coupling onto, these ones here, I had to glue, whereas the red one there, the peg is longer, even though they're the same. Well, obviously they're not the same moulding, they were obviously produced at a different time. But so that was it. So I know I'm not going to change the couplings anymore. I've got close couplings on them, they work. Okay, they're not Hunt couplings, but they are the small variety, and it gives a nice close coupling look to the wagons, and so I'm not going to change them anymore. So on those particular grey ones, I glued. The red ones, they've been pressed on, so I could still change them to something else in the future if I wanted to, but not going to anyway, let's face it. So that's it, Paul. Hopefully this has been of help. But that was it. So, but as I told you, he replied to my other videos to say that they're working, they're still working on even more types of couplings. They're coming out with N gauge versions, and you know, there's a, God, I didn't realise there's lots of different systems out there, especially for your carriages. All these, you know, HST sort of things that need stepped couplings and God knows what else, you know. So yeah, there's a right old mixture of couplings, and they're working on them. And they might come up with one for the, you know, that actually pivots a little bit, because these ones, as I said, being fixed. Don't get me wrong, they worked. It's just that the magnet was stronger than the light weight of the wagon, and it just made the wagon jerk as it came back onto the straight, because they do go edge to edge as it goes round the curve, but it doesn't let go. But it's when it goes back onto the straight, they get attracted, obviously. And that with these little white light wagons, and in actual fact, what I've done on these as well now, and I have cheated and put a little bit of weight. Only 5 grams, nothing much to speak of at all really. So that makes them behave, because otherwise they wobble when it goes over the points. So hopefully they better behave now. The last one is very heavy, because that's the one with the end of the train lamp in, and I've got a lot of weight on that one, because the pickups have to rub against the inside of the flange, and if there's not enough weight, the wagon will just be drag along and the wheels won't move. So there is weight on that one. But there you are. See, no problem at all, going round lovely. But I wouldn't push it. I'll pull, I won't push, but that's all I do, and I don't mix and match my rakes of wagons, as you know, so they're all running well. Okay everybody, so that's really what it was about, just to show you what I'm doing on the old layout. It's been a fabulous day here in London. And I've been in the shed all day as well. I've been in the shed all week, as you know. I mean, I'm just down here all the time. What else can you do? So, yeah, running out of things to do. So I had these stickers from Scale Model Scenery that I bought at the end of last year, and I was waiting for the better weather, because I thought if they're self-adhesive, I didn't want to put them down in the cold. I think they look pretty good. Stop, slow, and there's the old geezer who's having his papers checked there. Ollie told me off for having a wagon on the actual concrete, so he's off there, the wagon, being spoken to. Yeah, so I've done the markings now, so all the cars have got their spaces now. More signage on the, I've been cutting out more labels. I think I've done everything now. I enjoy doing it actually, you know, there's not much else to do, so why not? Yeah. Oh. That's it. Yeah, not, you know. So there we are. So Ollie, I hope you've seen the yard. There it is. I'll give you a top down shot of it, looking down. 3 tracks coming down. Points at the back there. Just all, you know, ballasted to begin with, and then the infill scatter and everything glued down on top of it. And just to give it, you know, the look of the overgrown sidings, which you know, when you get down from the side, it looks even better. You know, it does look the part, I think. Right, stay safe everybody, carry on making your videos, I do enjoy them, and I'll catch you later. Right, so bye everybody, bye bye.